Welcome to the Success Journey Show. Let's travel together through the lives of individuals on the road to success.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? We are back with you for another week of the Success Journey. And man, this is going to be a great week. I'm here, your host, Ricky Venters, as well as our co-host, Marlon Madden. Madden, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Real excited for this episode, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm telling you, we have a big one in store, and I'm very excited about this one because the person that's going to be interviewed, he has a story. So I just want him to sit back, relax, and listen. So what you been up to, Rick?
Man, just doing. You know, kids' homework. I've been in homework mode, man. Kids are coming home with more and more homework. I'm like, man, I don't remember having this much homework when I was a kid. So, you know, going back and trying to remember the stuff that they're doing, you know, so they do things a little bit differently. So you're trying to learn it with them. So, but other than that, it's good. I cannot complain at all. How about yourself, bro?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. You know, grinding, hitting the gym, trying to get that beach body in this wintertime so that when it's summertime, I don't have to work that hard. You know what I'm saying? I could cover it up now and then look good when it's time to show it off, you know? Yeah.
I hear you, man.
That's what I've been doing. Hey, man. Hey, let's get into our show, Ricky. I want to introduce our guy that's on the phone or on the podcast. His name is Carlos, and he is from Tucson, Arizona. He joined the Marine Corps when he was 18, and I don't want to steal this guy's thunder. I want him to go in and tell us all about himself and everything. Hey, we have Carlos on the phone. Hey, what's going on, Carlos?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thank you for joining us, man. We're looking forward to hearing more about your story.
Yeah.
Hey, Carlos, man. Why don't you just go and give us a little taste and tell us about yourself?
Yeah. So like Marlon said, my name's Carlos. I'm originally from Tucson, Arizona. Right now living in sunny Southern California. I grew up in Tucson, not necessarily the best part of Tucson. Tucson's not really a big city. It's a mid-sized city.
Okay.
But once I was 18, I joined the Marine Corps and figured it was time for something new and time for some travel and adventure. And that's where the journey really started.
Okay. And what did you do while you were in the Marine Corps?
So when I started off in the Marine Corps, I started out as a mechanic.
Okay.
So I was working on the Hummers and the big trucks that the Marine Corps has. And then over time, you know, just like any other job, you move up the ranks and you get to the point where you're no longer doing the hard labor stuff, you know, doing more of the managerial type of position. And you know, I was in for 10 and a half years, and that's when I transitioned out.
Oh, wow. 10 and a half years. Hey, and you transitioned out. I'm telling you. So transitioning out the Marine Corps, I know from experience that a lot of guys that reach that 8-year mark, they say once you get to 8, you might as well do 20. You know what I'm saying? So what made you transition out?
That's a great question, Marlon. So the thing for me was really, you know, what was it that I wanted? What did I want to do? And what was possible for me to do? So getting to that point where I was past 10 years, people are saying, you know, hey, stay for another 10 years. You're already on the way down. It was, I just didn't want to do it anymore. I said, you know what? I want to do something else. And this is what I want to do. And I know that I can be successful outside of the Marine Corps. And I believe that. And I know it's difficult for a lot of people getting out of the service. It's, you know, it's a roller coaster when you first get out. But if you can, you know, have the will to make it happen, you can make it. And that's, I threw myself into it. Right.
So Carlos, 10 and a half years in the Marine Corps, right? And you're stepping out from the Marine Corps. What would you say your biggest, I would say, lesson learned or the biggest added value that you had to yourself? Like, what did you feel that you were offering now to the world as you were stepping out?
Yeah. So So getting out of the Marine Corps was one of the scariest things I've ever done, right? And it sounds funny. It sounds funny now looking back, because the Marine Corps itself is not a place for. It's not a place that people say like, oh, it's a comfy place, or, you know, I deployed to Iraq 3 times. And it was getting out of the service is going into the unknown, right? I was comfortable for 10 and a half years. It was what I knew. It was easy for me. And one of the things from the very beginning, I've always kind of searched out what the tough thing is, because if not a lot of people are willing to do it, there's a reason for that. That's part of the reason why I joined the Marine Corps. You know, had a kind of a tough childhood, a single parent. You know, I got a couple siblings, and we all lived in a tiny little place, and bad part of town, and the schools weren't great, but made it out of there. And it was just, what can I do? What can I offer to the world? What value do I bring to the table? I knew that I could do something different. I knew that I could do something that's going to help others. And the way that I saw that was to start a business.
Okay. Hey, Carlos, you brought up a very good perspective. You're saying that you single parent, you're coming from a bad part of town. What was when in that stage, and I know 18 is not a full man, but being 18, how did you look at success? What was your outlook at success, and what were you trying to attain by just getting into the Marine Corps, and what kind of successes were you looking for?
Yeah. So back in high school, I kind of had like a chip on my shoulder that I needed to prove something. And it was mainly to myself, you know, coming from that high school, it was like people just stayed there in town. People didn't do much. And I was like, no, you know what? I can do this. College wasn't one of those things that I was encouraged to do. I had all my classes ready to go so that I could go to college, but it was never something that people said like, hey, yeah, go ahead and apply for this college. Go ahead and do this. Look for that scholarship. Look for this. Like we do now to a lot of young people. It was more of, like you'll get out of high school and you'll get a job. And I was like, you know what? I know that I can be successful even if I don't have a college degree. And that was the chip on my shoulder. I can make this even without a college degree. So looking into the Marine Corps, what I saw as success is, okay, getting into the Marine Corps, I know that there's some benefits as far as like being able to go to college. Even if that wasn't something that I wanted to do right then and there, it's something that was an option in the future. Okay. So another thing too is my older brother was also in the Marine Corps, and seeing him being able to, you know, at that point afford a nice car or be able to live in a nice home, and it was those things that we didn't have growing up, that I was like, you know what, if he can do that, I can do that too, and then I can do things better.
Oh wow! So would you say that your brother helped foster some of what you viewed as success was?
Absolutely, yeah.
And also your drive.
And the drive, you know, if he could do it, I could do it too, and I could do it better. And then
I like that.
Yeah, and also, you know, as much as my father wasn't there after I was 12 years old, one of the lessons that he left with me was, you know, whenever you're going to do something, you do it 110%. You don't do things mediocre, and that stuck with me to this day. So everything that I do is 110%, or I don't do it at all.
And Ricky, before you ask that question, I know you have a question. Let me jump in and give them a little spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I know I'm a Marine, as everybody on the show is going to find out. And I know Carlos, and I met him in 2014. Yeah. And I'll tell you, he was a Marine. So the job that he had when I got there is what's called the company gunnery sergeant. So he was actually doing a job that was higher than his president rank when I met him. And what happened was he was actually in charge of all the Marines training, make sure everybody gets everything that they need administratively, and at the same time overseeing all the events like hikes, if we had to do flu shots, if we had to do any different things, he was taking care of that. And MTM, which we were, it's a company that just basically, we have a whole bunch of mechanics. We had about almost 2,000 Marines.
Wow.
So he was in a managerial spot, and he was a Marine because anything I was lower, I had to go up to talk to him. He oversaw us. So each platoon, which was 4, had 4 different guys. And we had to go up to him. He'll give us the plan of the day. And then when we come back, we execute. And then he will oversee that everything was going good. So he was a Marine. So when he's saying that he planned to do, or he was taught to do everything the best of his ability, I can attest to that.
Wow. No, that's good. Because, it's crazy, man. You say that, I'm listening to your story, man. And it's like, you have two different people. You have people that get involved in something. And when they're involved in it, if it's not going well for them, they want to quit. But then you have the other people that, they're excelling and they feel like, man, they can pour more into something else, and it pulls them away from that very thing. Not looking at what you came through as in a negative light, but more so, okay, this portion of my life helped mold me even more and allow me to exhibit and allow me to strengthen the skill sets that I have inside of me and the character that I have inside of me. So now when I go to that next thing, I'm able to apply all those things that I've learned, that same drive, that same determination. And then boom, I'm not saying success is going to come immediately, but I've seen what success has done in my past based off of my character trait, based off of my drive. So I know as long as I stick with it, then, hey, something good is going to come out of it, So, man, when I'm listening to your story and I'm hearing just that out of it, and it's like, man, that's what people need to hear out in the world. It's not just about, oh, yeah, I have my whole plan mapped out. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to go to trades. I'm going to go to military. You don't know. But when you have that characteristic, that drive and that determination, you can take that anywhere and apply that, and you will obtain success where you are, man. So thanks for sharing that, man.
Thank you for listening to the Success Journey Show. Please follow us on our social media on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at The Success Journey Show. Also, check out our website at thesuccessjourneyshow.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah, Ricky, and just like you summarized that, it's so true. When I set my short-term plan, and that was what I was striving for, and then the Marine Corps changed that and said, hey, you're going to go do this instead, and then we have to adjust. As much as I was upset about, as much as and what I mean is right before I got to the point of re-enlisting, that means signing up for another 4 years, around year 7, I was like, you know what? It's time for me to get out. It's time for me to do something different. But it was very scary, right? The decision of going into the unknown was very scary. And at that point, I didn't have the drive that the drive of entrepreneurship like I built up later. So it was very traditional. It was very, I'm going to go get a job, but it was still very scary. And the Marine Corps changed my plan there by sending me to recruiting duty, meaning to go help and promote the Marine Corps and to get people interested in the Marine Corps. And there's 2 choices that I had, right? I could have been upset about it, and I could have said, you know what? I hate this. I hate the Marine Corps. I hate my life. Nothing's going my way. And I felt that way in the beginning. And then I had to make the decision. I had to say, okay, you know what? Suck it up. Let's look at the other side of this. Mm-hmm. What's the other side? So the other side is I'm going to go continue to have a good job. Okay. I'm going to continue to do something that I do like, being a Marine. I'm also going to learn new skills that the Marine Corps is going to teach me. The Marine Corps is going to teach me how to sell. The Marine Corps is going to teach me how to be a people person, as much as I may not be as big of a people person. But the Marine Corps is going to give me all of these skills. Now let's weigh those positives and negatives. What's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? Mm-hmm. And holy cow, when I looked at that best case scenario, I was like, you know what? This is going to be a good thing for me. But I gave myself one day to be upset about it. And after that, that, I was like, let's do this. And thankfully, because of that attitude change that I had, and being able to roll with the punches, I was doing recruiting in Riverside County, California, and I was part of the recruiting station San Diego. And in my second year of recruiting duty, I was recruiter of the year for recruiting station San Diego.
Oh, wow.
Out of 65 recruiters, I was the number one recruiter in the area.
Wow.
And it was just, I can attribute that just to the attitude change of like, okay, got it. This bad thing happened to me, or what I perceive as being bad. How can I adjust this to make it into a positive for later?
Wow.
All right. Now, when you did all that, now we're going to talk about your transition, right? Because a lot of people, now you have all those skill sets. You're motivated. You're like, hey, I'm going to go out there. You're still scared. But when you got out of the Marine Corps and into the regular workforce, or not just the regular workforce, you went to become an entrepreneur. So you have to say, hey, my job has to bring that income, because you don't have another job. You have to create that income. What were some of your adversities and challenges that you met when you first got out and you start to open your own business?
Oh my God, where do I start? Okay. No, so the first thing was getting over that, was believing in myself enough that I could do it. Okay. And so over time, while I was in the Marine Corps, I had all these great ideas of how I could make money, like by buying a used car, fixing it up and selling it. I had the skills to do that. I knew the market when it comes to buying and selling cars, but I never took action on it. And I didn't take action because I was afraid. And I was afraid to put my money where my mouth was. I knew that I could do it. I just was afraid to risk it. I was afraid to risk the money. I was afraid to invest in it. One of the things that I had even shared that with my older brother, and he believed in me more than I believed in myself. And he says, hey, bro, he says, you know what? I'll put up the money. He says, I'll give you 10 grand. You can buy a car or two, and then you can sell them. And then, you give me back a little bit and we split the profits. But that way I'm sharing the risk with you. And I couldn't do it. I was like, I can't, because I didn't want to lose his money, right? As much as I believed it, I was afraid. So during that time, I started to read books. I started to learn about business. I started to learn about expanding my mind in a positive way. And one of the books that I ended up reading that kind of helped flip the switch for me with that it's called the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone.
Yeah. Okay.
And as much as some people like Grant Cardone, some people don't. There's some books that I really like of his, like that one, and there's a lot of others that I don't like particularly. But there's a chapter in that book, and I think it was chapter 22. And one of the things that chapter says is the traits of successful people. And one of the things on there is commit first, figure it out later. And that was the toughest thing for me to be able to do.
Correct.
Because my personality is very analytical, I have to have all the information before I make a decision. So understanding myself was a big key part in the transition process, because I had to understand how I was going to react when I made a decision. So the time came for me to transition out. I said, you know what? This is it. I'm ready to do something different. I know I can do it on my own. I know I can do something. I didn't know what I was going to do. I got my real estate license in order to get started. And I was still in the Marine Corps. It was 6 months before I got out that I got my real estate license. And it was one of those very first engagements of talking to people and saying, hey, I'm going to be doing real estate when I get out. I'm going to start right now. And being able to commit first. And I started asking around. And I got a friend who said, hey, I'm going to sell my house, or I want to sell my house. And at that point, I was newly licensed. I had the support of the people in my office, the broker in my office that would help me. So that made me feel confident enough to say, I can help you, because I know that I have other people that are going to be able to help me answer the questions. So even though I personally at that moment did not have all the information, he says, "Hey, can you sell my house?" And I said, "Yes, I can sell your house."
Stepped out, right? Stepped out, just like that chapter said.
Yeah, I commit first. And I said, let's schedule time to go over this contract. And I had no idea what all the details of the contract were. So as soon as he said yes, I called my broker. I said, we need a meeting right now. I need to go over this whole contract. And I said, I need to have you on the phone just in case. And we did. And that was one of those eye-opening moments of commit first, figure it out later. Especially for somebody like me who goes into potentially analysis paralysis, you know? So that started my transition out, where I was like, okay, I can do this. Once I transitioned out of the Marine Corps, it was very rocky. So it wasn't all great positive. One of the biggest challenges was I went from being surrounded by people for 18 hours a day to being completely alone. And that was tough. Yeah. That was tough emotionally. Wow. That was tough mentally. That was tough. Like, okay, here I am in my office by myself. What do I do? Right. So that was tough. And it took, I don't think a lot of veterans talk about this, but it definitely took a couple months to kind of get over that emotional thing that happens after you transition out. Once I got past that, that's when I said, okay, well, what do I want to do? Okay, I know I want to do something. I want to do real estate, but I want to do something else. I don't want to just do real estate. So I started reading a lot of like industry magazines. I started reading a lot of Entrepreneur magazine. I started reading Fast Company. I started reading a lot of Inc. I started reading a lot of these magazines. And one of the things that I was trying to pick up was, what is it that I can do? One of the other people that I like and enjoy listening to often is Gary Vaynerchuk. Yep. Right. So Gary V. So one of the things that he said in a podcast, I don't remember when, it was either a video or something, podcast or something. He said, I've made a living from being able to tell the future, right? Like being able to predict what's going to happen. Yep. And he says, and if you have that, and if you believe that you have that, you need to put your money where your mouth is, and you need to do something about it, because it doesn't do any good if you don't act on something and then it comes to fruition and then you said, oh, I knew that. It doesn't matter. You're correct. You benefit from it. So I said, you know what? I've been able to see some of these trends coming. And one of the things that happened is I was reading a magazine about, it was either Money Magazine, Forbes Magazine, one of the magazines that I was just reading to kind of get some more knowledge and really learn what's out there. And I heard about this technology, this 3D technology that was in its infancy. And I was like, whoa. I was like, I do real estate. I'd like to do this for one of my listings. Okay. And I looked it up and nobody was doing it in my area. And I said, oh my God, this is going to be huge. Yeah.
So Gary V helped you out. Gary V helped you out.
Gary V helped me out. So did Grant Cardone. Yeah. So I said, this is going to be huge. And I was like, this is that moment. Like, this is that moment where I can see this come to fruition and not do anything about it. Or I can put my money where my mouth is. And at the time, it was a $10,000 investment to say, okay, this is it. Like, you know what? Let's max out the card, and I'm taking this gamble. So it took me, no joke, guys, that day. From the time that I learned about this technology and I thought about how it can be implemented in the industry that I was in real estate and in a lot of different industries. From that moment, I stopped reading that magazine. I did the research, and then I got on my computer and I started writing a business plan for 8 hours. I spent 8 hours writing a business plan.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this is a business plan from what I found on Google. I was like, the next thing was to get it vetted through somebody. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the SCORE, the mentor program.
Oh, yeah.
Service Corps of Retired Executives.
Yes, I'm familiar.
So I looked it up. And I said, okay, there's somebody here nearby. I called them. I said, I need an appointment ASAP. And they said, well, you can come by. I went by. I said, here's my business plan. I need to know if this is even at all viable. I said, if this is even a chance, if there's a chance, I'm going to do it. And the guy looked at it. He started poking holes all over my plan.
I've been to SCORE. Yeah, they do it.
Yeah. I was discouraged, and I was like, let me fix these holes, fix them as best I could. And I said, okay, how about now? And within a month, I was like, okay, I'm ready. And it was that moment again where I was like, okay, am I going to buy the equipment? Am I going to start selling this? And it took me a day to make that decision, and I made that decision. And the toughest part, right, that commit first, figure it out later for me. So I said, okay, I need to be able to sell this, and I don't have the equipment yet, so I need to know if anybody's going to even buy it. So I started marketing it, reached out to some agents with some big listings, and I had one of them say, yeah, let's do it. And I said, sounds good. We'll schedule it for Monday. And this was on a Thursday. Okay, let's schedule it for Monday. And he says, perfect. I didn't even have the equipment yet.
Oh man, yes,
you're thinking that step out. You're thinking that step out real.
So I was scared out of my mind. And got the equipment on Friday. I learned how to use it Saturday and Sunday, and I was there on Monday doing the appointment.
Oh wow. My goodness.
Wow.
Hey, that's a bit. Hey, awesome. I'm telling you. And now, how many employees do you have because of that venture that you did?
Now we cover San Diego County, Riverside County, San Bernardino County, and Los Angeles County. And I employ, now I have 3 photographers are full-time. I have an admin, and I have a marketing person. And then it's me. So, yeah.
All because you step out, right?
Because I tried it. And you know, they say that the people closest to you are sometimes the ones who tell you not to do something. You know, one of the things that really hurt me during that process was I went to my younger brother, and I said, hey bro, I have this idea that I'm going to start this business. You know, I think it has a real shot. And he was like, well, how much are you gonna spend, or what's your risk? And I said, it's gonna be about $10,000. And he's like, well, what happens if you lose it? I was like, well, if I lose it, I lose it, man. I was like, but what happens? I was like, but what happens if it works? You know, then it could be really good. And he's like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't think you should do it, bro. And I was like, yeah. I was like, thanks.
You've been listening to the Success Journey Show. You can check us out on our social media on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Also on our website, thesuccessjourneyshow.com. Enjoy the rest of the show.
So he was real with me.
Yeah.
Too real.
Yeah. I was hoping he'd be like, dude, that's going to be awesome. Like, definitely not what I got.
Yeah.
Man.
We often find that, man, our dreams, they're not, someone told me before, our dream is not someone else's dream, and it never will be their dream.
Sure.
And it's supposed to be unique to us. And though we want to find that, you know, that support, you know, and people say, oh, you know, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I tell you this, when you find too many people that are going to say, oh man, it's going to be great. I kind of question how great it's really going to be, because they can see it too. And I'm like, but if things that are going to be innovative, not everyone's supposed to be able to see it, you know?
Right.
And it should be a level of risk that's higher than any other thing that you do. So I know exactly what you mean, man, just stepping out there. But it's the same brother that was going to offer you the 10 grand prior, right?
No, it was a different one.
A different one. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
that's his older brother.
That's
older brother.
right.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Got you. No.
Hey, so go ahead, Rick.
No, that's it. No, you got it. What you said?
Yep. So now that you're seasoned as an entrepreneur, what motivates you to keep you going to find out new endeavors? Because first you did you did the real estate side, which it sounds like you did real good at. Then you start doing the virtual. Now, what motivates you to seek out different projects or be more innovative, or what motivates you?
You know, I found that the things that really give me a lot of energy are like the things that that have the risk. So now my business so real estate business is still doing well. The 3D virtual marketing business is doing well. I mean, we're employing people and we got consistency, which is something that we didn't have before. And just that alone over the last, we're about to hit 4 years here in February. That itself has been a roller coaster, right? And I have had some serious adversity in that time. I mean, dude, let's be real. Everybody talks about how great it is, but there's times where it is not great.
Yeah.
I can tell you, it's an extreme. Like, it's an extreme. Now, thankfully, we are reaching a little bit more consistency, but to be, completely honest here, there was a time when it was in 2017, towards the beginning of the year, there was a time where I was at the point where business was really slow, where real estate was really slow, where nothing seemed to be going my way. And it was that point where it was like, okay, like if I can't make a sale in something, I don't know how I'm going to pay my mortgage. Like, holy cow, you know what I mean? Like, maybe I shouldn't be in business. Maybe I should go get a regular job. So it was those moments where it's like, okay, well, you know what? I know I can do this. Like, I did it well last year. Why can't I do well this year?
Come on.
So I had to pick myself up emotionally. And as soon as I started to do that, and as soon as I started to believe that I just put in the work, like, you can't work and not get results, just put in the work. And I'm not kidding, guys. 2017 was the highest earning year that I've had to date. And it didn't even start until month 4.
Wow.
So it was an extreme, but it was also a lesson learned of, when it gets bad, it's also going to get really good. And Darren Hardy, he's the former publisher of Success Magazine.
Yep.
Darren Hardy, one of the things he says in the Entrepreneur Roller Coaster book is that it's like a pendulum that if it swings a lot to one side, meaning like the side of like how hard and how terrible things are, that means that there's a higher chance it's going to swing a lot to the other side of how great things are. Because if we live right in the middle where nothing is too great, nothing is too bad, then there's really not a whole lot happening. But when you push it and you have a really bad time doing something, or something is really terrible, then guess what? It's going to swing the other way. It's going to be great.
There you go.
Exactly
I love that. My hairs are standing up on my arm right now. I'm telling you. I love that. Love that.
I'm sorry if I'm going off on a rant, guys.
No, man.
No.
This is good information.
Yeah, this is what we need, Carlos. I mean, this is what our listeners need to hear, man, because a lot of people get caught in that fear of failure, that fear of like, man, things aren't going to work out. And that's when they quit. They quit on that downside,
Oh, yeah.
They never get to see what all their hard work, what all their sacrifices going to turn into, because they let go of that dream way too early.
Oh, you're absolutely right, man. And I was almost one of those casualties. I was at that point where I was like, maybe I can sell my equipment, sell my business to somebody else. Like, somebody can do it better. And I was there. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But it's that point when you have to make the decision that if you can do this, it's going to be great, because everything that has happened to that point has been a learning experience that will not happen again.
Yeah.
That like you learned your lesson, right? And it was an expensive lesson, but you won't do it again.
Correct. Correct.
So go ahead. So Carlos, man, I got one last question for you.
Yeah.
Thank you, like I said, again, for your time. And the information that you were just sharing with us is just, man, it's blowing my mind. I'm just sitting here like, yes, this is, I'm being encouraged, man, and I'm being inspired by just listening to you. So what we want to do is really just ask you, if you can go back now to that 18-year-old kid or 17-year-old kid, that you were, and you knew what you knew now, what would you share with them?
What would I share with them? The biggest thing that stopped me from doing anything before this, as far as like an entrepreneurial or something that I really wanted to do, was that fear of like, what's going to happen if it doesn't work out. And so the biggest thing I would say is, hey, what's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? And be real about that. And if you can accept that worst case scenario, then do it. Because that best case scenario is really good. That worst case scenario, when you have perspective, is not that bad.
Correct.
Yeah.
Hey, two questions. I know Ricky said the last two questions wrapped up in one, so we can get you. I know you entrepreneurs, y'all need your sleep. Even though you're in California, you're like 3 hours behind us. But two questions wrapped up in one. Do you have a mentor and do you have a mentee? And also, who's your support system currently?
Yeah. So I do have a mentor, and he's through the SCORE program, and that's through the Small Business Administration SCORE, Service Corps of Retired Executives.
Okay.
And he's the one that's been there from the beginning.
Okay.
So, I do not have a mentee at this point. I think it would be great. There's a lot of opportunities to help people and especially encourage being through that process already. And I know that there's going to be a lot more, the same type of process with other business that I'm going to go into.
Yeah.
And currently my support network primarily has been my wife.
Oh man, you better say that. You better say that.
She has, I say, hey baby, I'm going to start this business and it's going to be like this. And she says like, okay, like do it. Like make it happen. And I'm like, oh my God, like, am I really going to be able to make it happen?
Like, we're not questioning it. Yeah.
So she believes in me. And I think that's really what drives me to not let her down.
Yeah.
And then also my older brother, the one who said, hey, I'll give you the money. Right. Yeah. He's always been the one to say like, dude, you everything that you're doing, you got nothing to lose. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, it's not going to be that bad, and it's all a lesson learned. And he gives me perspective, like how many people get to start a business, very few.
Yeah.
When the big picture of thing, it's not that many.
Correct.
So already, accomplishing something that the majority don't.
Yeah.
Hey, Carlos, for people that are looking for you in the SoCal area, or even anywhere, because you don't know who you're going to reach, where can they find you on your social medias, your website, or any avenue that you want to give out that you can that they can reach you at?
Yeah. So our website is touritnow.com, touritnow.com. And that's the website of the 3D virtual tours that we do, the virtual reality experiences we provide. If somebody wants to reach out to me directly, they can reach out to me at my email, carlos@touritnow.com. And I'll answer questions as best I can if anybody has anything, or, if anybody has any opportunities that they want to explore, and I'm always looking for other opportunities as well.
All right.
Perfect. Well, you guys heard it, man. We had our guest Carlos on with us today, and man, he shared so much information, so many nuggets. Carlos, his episode will be available on not just iTunes, but also on our website, thesuccessjourney.com. successjourneyshow.com. Come in, check us out. We'll be having some discussions. We're having some groups, and we'll also definitely tie back in with Carlos as he's on his journey to check in with him and see where he's at. And please, for those that are interested or have questions on what Carlos is doing, his information will be in the description of the podcast, as well as you heard him say it. Reach out to him. Don't be scared to ask any questions. Don't be scared to commit first. And with you committing first, just look at your life, man. Look at where you are. Look at where you're trying to go, and to say, hey, I can stay right here where I'm at, or I can just go and try something different. If I try something different, how much better can my life be? Or, what else can I gain out of it? So don't be scared to take that risk. Don't be scared to move out of your comfort zone. All right. This is the Success Journey Show, and we'll see you again next week at the same time. All right. Peace, everyone.
One love.
You've been listening to The Success Journey Show, where your dreams, drive, determination, and diligence are the foundation to success. For more information, check out thesuccessjourneyshow.com. The Journey Squad is here helping you to your destination.